I was filming a bunch of videos back to back and then got really hangry, and I felt I needed to eat before talking about a book all about weight loss. Hi, I'm Kim and welcome back to Bookmarks and Breadsticks. I'm here today to give you a quick overall book review of Barry Estabrook's newest book, Just Eat, one reporter's quest for weight loss regimen that works. So if you don't know who Barry Estabrook is, he is the author of Tomatoland, one of my favorite pieces of nonfiction food writing and investigative journalism of all time. It was one of my top 10 books last year for 2020. Barry Estabrook's new book comes in just shy of 200 pages with notes and appendices in the back, adding an additional 40. I listened to this book as an audiobook and it comes in at just under 6 hours. So Barry Estabrook is a pretty normal guy. Here's what he looks like. You know, pretty normal token white guy. Estabrook is a former contributing editor of Gourmet. He's worked for the New York Post, New York Times, The Atlantic. He lives on a farm now. He actually makes his own maple syrup and grows his own apples. But Barry Estabrook, like most of us in society, struggled with a weight issue. He got to a point in his life where his doctor sat him down and said, you have high risk of developing heart disease. And he had lost many family members on many men in his family to heart disease and heart attack. And his doctor told him essentially, you need to lose 40 pounds. And thus, the journey begins. This book could not be more relatable. I think a lot of us deal with this journey. So Estabrook goes back to the history of dieting in general, and fundamentally, most diets break down to either the low-fat trend or the low-carb trend. And essentially, every couple of years, there's just a new facelift put on those two ideologies. I found this book really entertaining and very relatable. I think we've all wanted to lose a couple pounds. He tries many different things. He tries a juice cleanse. He tries a very low-calorie diet. He tries Weight Watchers. Well, now it's called WW, but formerly known as Weight Watchers. He tries paleo, and it's relatable because I've tried all of these myself. In terms of information, I think if you're anyone who has tried a diet in any capacity, a lot of this information isn't new. I do think that if you're interested in this space, this is a great, approachable, entry-level kind of book because it's full of humility. Like, he talks about, you know, I'm 3 days on this. I love tracking my food. I love scanning it. Okay, but now I'm trying to make a dish from scratch, and how the hell do I track a half a teaspoon of salt and a quarter cup of cream? And all of the pros and cons of so many of these diets, and the pros and cons of even nutrition tracking and the technology that's around it now. I mean, I have a Fitbit. I think Fitbit's app for tracking their food is abysmal. So at one point when I had a nutrition coach, I had my nudge counter for where I spoke to my nutrition coach. We used Chromometer for my food, and we used Fitbit for my workouts. And it can get really fucking overwhelming. And I think this is all relatable. Does Estabrook lose 40 pounds magically? No. Does he learn a lot throughout his journey? Yes. And that's what I think was relatable about the book, is that there is no haha before and after at the end of this book. Now, I'm someone who's 5'3.5", 5'4", apparently to my most recent check-in with my practitioner. And should I lose weight? Probably, because I'm carrying excess weight on my body. But did my blood work come back all crystal greens? Yes. And I think that's part of what Estabrook is talking about in this book. He doesn't go too far into it, but it's about the balance. It's not about just society's pressures for like men and women to be skinny. That's a whole layer of the book he does touch on. But the other layer of it is how to be proactive about pre-existing medical conditions in your family lineage and your family's like genetic pool. For example, in my family, within two different generations, there's 6 different types of cancer in my medical history. My dad died from pancreatic cancer, and there are 5 different cancers shared between my maternal grandmother and grandfather, and 2 generations of type 2 diabetes. So I'm on the same kind of weight loss journey. I'm average and plus size, whatever you want to call me. I'm size 14 right now, size 16. I know I gained weight this year. I've been grieving. I don't really want to beat myself up about it, but I got really nervous about long-term if I was going to develop heart disease or high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and that's the kind of stuff that can send me in a tizzy. It can really, really mess with my anxiety. A couple weeks ago, like just 2 weeks ago, I just did my blood work and I got the results last week, and I was scrutinizing every single little thing in there, and it all came back green. I'm a healthy but fat person. I'm a power lifter. And I related to this book in terms of struggling because I actually had quite a lot of success on Weight Watchers. I lost 50 pounds on Weight Watchers and then have put it back on over the years. But what Weight Watchers talks about, or what Estabrook talks about, is that Weight Watchers is really about a calorie restrictive diet and doesn't take into account perfectly those who are extremely active. I'm a power lifter. I work out at least 3 hours a week lifting heavy weights. That's what I do. I've been doing it for 6 years. So calorie restrictive diets don't work for me in the sense that to lift the strength I want to do, to lift and squat and deadlift 300 plus pounds, you need to eat, you need to fuel the machine, but then how do you lose weight? And there are plenty of people that can do this and lose weight. But I also have polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is an issue with fertility cysts. It's actually more a gynecological kind of area. But one of the side effects is that it's very difficult to lose weight. I'm on an antidepressant. My dad died. I don't need to actually justify that I'm on an antidepressant, whatever. I'm very open about it, but you know, I'm on medication. It's helping me with my grieving process. Makes you gain weight. Birth control makes you gain weight. So I've got all these things stacked against me, and then you try to find a diet that works for you, and none of these things really work because it's so customizable. And I think that's also what I appreciate about Estabrook's journey, is that he talks about how he's reduced his wine consumption, but he's not giving up on cheese, which is why I think the A is the cheese, because that's his big love. I don't drink alcohol. I stopped drinking alcohol years ago. Did I lose any weight? No. Somebody else does. You're just like, it's annoying. So all in all, this is a really approachable book. It's a really interesting book. He had me laughing out loud at certain points. I really appreciate that he wanted to do this not to just be a skinny, like this is a man later in his life. He had nothing to prove about fashion standards. It was about, I want to be healthy and I want to watch my kids grow up. I want to take them to the park and run after them while they're on bikes. I want to play soccer with them. So I appreciated that somebody took the approach of weight loss for medical and personal reasons versus beauty standards. But it is also a male perspective. It's definitely different for women, or it's also just different for every single person. So don't go reading this book expecting to find the hidden secret. There is no weight loss pill. There is no hidden secret. There is no like one pill that makes you skinny, but I highly recommend that you read Just Eat by Barry Estabrook. It is a delightful read, a great refresher for 2021, especially coming out of well, we're not really coming out of COVID, are we? Well, we're now in COVID 2.0, and I don't know about you, but I felt the pressures of watching people who were like, I lost weight during COVID. Here's my new fitness regimen, and you're like, well, I have also been working out and trying to eat healthy, and I'm trying, but nothing happened for me. So anyway, give the book a read. Let me know in the comments below. If you have any specific questions about the book, let me know. He does cover quite a lot of the mainstream diets, or even meals, like lean cuisines talked about, Weight Watchers is talked about, Atkins is talked about, and I would love to hear what you guys think. Are you going to pick up this book? I am not a health expert. I am not a doctor. Tons of disclaimers. Take everything I said with a grain of salt. Take everything he says with a grain of salt, because we are not medical professionals. That's just me and my journey. And don't forget to like and subscribe. This was a really quick review, but kind of a random ending, but there you go. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.